friends, I just wanted to pop in and show you what we'll be making today on me, because I did mirror this pair of earrings and they are a bit of a connecting puzzle, but I have not been able to stop wearing them since I made them. I just think they are really unique and really fun, not too difficult. Maybe I would consider this an intermediate project, but I did do a few versions with the same design, and I know they're a little bit small, and on me you might not be able to tell that I mirrored them, but I will lay them on the beading mat and show you what they look like, up close, and let's make these. They're a really fun project, and I just thought that you might enjoy seeing what they look like on a human instead of on the table.
Ciao friends, my name is joeebalestrieri. Welcome to my channel. I started out to make some more earring designs with this month's Magical Mystery Bead Box. The words escaped me for a moment. It was the August 2024 box, and it was called Stay Golden, and it had this really cool 70s vibe, and I have enjoyed this box so much. I'm wearing one of the projects that I did from the box with this cool crochet statement charm. It's so lightweight. It's such a statement and so bold, but it's so lightweight and soft. So I've really been enjoying wearing my bracelet, and there were these beautiful little owls in the box, and so I just stacked some beads and made these little autumnal kind of earrings, and no ear wires on these. Some of you already know why there's no ear wires on, and that's what I want to talk about today. So my earring design that I was trying on, I'll show you these up close. I used a little piece of unicorn glass. It's like a hand-blown art glass, a little scrap of chain, these really cool head pins that have a splayed paddle on the end, and some gold-filled spacer beads. And I just made this little, I love these Saturn beads. These are table cut check glass beads. They have like this turbine swirl on the top and bottom. It's a little bit of an expensive cut to do, and I just love these beads. So I actually started out with my Jesse James beads box and loved the design so much I went into my stash and pulled out some other beads, because this design really features a single bead, and your chain kind of outlines the bead or hugs the bead and then goes down into a drop. And I did these so that they are mirrored. I really like to do that with earrings when possible. Sometimes it isn't possible, but I did these mirrored, so the chain is going on the opposite side on each one. And so it got me to thinking about, my interchangeable ear wires. If you've been around my channel, you know that I love these gold-filled lever back interchangeable ear wires. They have this little groove in there, and you just slide your drops in as you make them, put it in your ear, snap the back closed, and you have your earring ready to go. And I have quite the collection of drops with no ear wires on them. So I do that a lot. And so like the earring that I'm going to show you, I'm going to put this one together with you. These are all bits from this month's Magical Mystery Bead Box, except I went into my own stash and pulled out some chain, and these head pins are from my stash. But that's, kind of what I do, is just make my drops and slide them on those ear wires. But it got me to thinking that, maybe there's alternatives to this, and I've come up with a couple of alternatives for an interchangeable ear wire. So we're going to do this one together, and also created another earring from the little bits in the box that I just loved. So these are kind of have an autumnal vibe to me. So we will put those together. But what I wanted to show you is that I created my own interchangeable ear wires, and I used a mandrel that I have. I used this oval mandrel. It's a really cool little set of mandrels. There's 4 different shapes. This is the oval one, and the handle comes off, and you can like switch it to square or triangle or round. I was using the oval one to get these ear wires done, and then I used my bench block and my hammer to splay the end of this 18 gauge wire, and that becomes your stopper for your earring. So it kind of looks like a hoop from the front, and from the side you have that splayed little paddle end and the whatever dangle you put on it. And I like those. They're okay. And I played with a couple of different shapes. I did use the round mandrel to get these kind of round hoops, but I started thinking there's a little bit involved because I filed this. I used a chasing hammer, 18 gauge wire. I have this little gadget. It's actually a bead reamer. Pardon me while I reach behind me. It's actually a bead reamer that's battery operated, but it has this little cup attachment. And so when you make your own ear wires, you can put the end of the wire in the attachment and round it. It's a rounder, so it rounds the end so that nothing is sharp going in your ears. So making your own ear wires is a little bit, there's a little bit of involvement. And so I started thinking, how could I get this interchangeable ear wire design without all of that? If you are interested, months ago I did do a video on, and I used only 20 gauge wire. I did do a video on making your own minimalist ear wires that you can wear just by themselves or put some minimalist drops on. It's a really cool video. I can link that below if you didn't see it. But I got to thinking, how could I simplify the making your ear wire process? And I am going to still be working with the 18 gauge wire. And I do love this for putting it in your ears because it has an anti-tarnish coating. I don't have metal allergies, so those of you that do, this may or may not be true for you. But I know that I have a friend who uses even clear nail polish, any kind of a coating, so that this isn't touching her skin. She can wear it. So this coating, that's anti-tarnish, does make this a little bit nicer for your ears. Of course, everybody has to determine that for themselves. And so what I was thinking is to make my form, get my nice oval kind of hoop earring, and instead of doing all of that with the pounding and the filing and all of that on the end, I was thinking about these little beads that are meant to cap off a memory wire bracelet. It's an alternative to finishing the ends of a memory wire bracelet instead of turning a loop. And you just glue them onto the end of a wire, and they come in several sizes and 2 colors. I can link this below as well. This is how they came. There's like a small, medium, and large size in this pack, and they came in gold and like a stainless steel color. It's this whole collection. I'm gonna be working with the smaller one because in making interchangeable ear wires, the thing that you care about is your not having to make teeny tiny loops on your drops, and because this is the stopper. I feel like this is going to work because this is kind of a normal size loop that I make with my pliers, and that little end stopper bead does not go through. So I feel like it's going to work. So what I'm going to do is make a little set of ear wires with you, and then we will glue these on to the ends, set that aside to dry while we work on the earrings, and we'll go from there. So one of the things that I like to do with my ear wires, I'm just going to pull this one in because I quite liked this oval shape, and I'm going to just pull this in so that I can kind of look at the shape. But one of the things that I like to do to make sure that both of my ear wires are exactly the same is do my folding with both of the wires lined up like that. So I'm going to come in with this oval mandrel and like right in the middle of my 2 wires. And so with wire, especially the 18 gauge, you might want to start smaller than you think you will need because it kind of springs back. But sometimes what I'll do is just on one of the larger forms, just go ahead and get it into my first bit of a curve. It's 18 gauge wire, and for me it's a little bit hard on my hands, so I'll just go ahead and start my curve like that, and then you can move up and make it a little bit smaller or whatever look you're going for. I'm going to do this one a little bit smaller, not quite so wide as I did that one. That's the cool thing too about making your own ear wires is, you know, you're in control of the shape, the size, the length. So I got both of these exactly the same. And so you're looking at it as this is the part that will rest in your ear. And so it's really important in order for drops to hang right that there's also a little cradle here, because if this is too straight, your drops will like protrude out. So, you know, that's one thing to be mindful of. So then I just start like forming my ear wire situation. And what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and make this the back of my earring. So I'm going to hold them together. It just doing them side by side like this just saves you a lot of trouble on the back side when you you know, when you, instead of doing one and then picking up another piece of wiring trying to match it. This is a nice little trick. So I'm just going to trim this a little bit both together, and I am going to keep them together and get a flat nose plier and grab a hold of both of those wires right at the end and just kick it out just like a normal ear wire. And now I'm going to hold them together, and I need to bring this around. So let's see, bring my mandrel back in here. I find with wire working that when I try to be too fast, I don't get a good result. I find that warming the wire, straightening it, and maneuvering it slowly and really looking at what I'm doing is much better than trying to go too fast. So I just want to get that other cradle in here. And they are both alike, and so you can see that I have created like another little cradle right there. And now I'm going to line these up again and trim. I'm going to trim right about there. And now I can make whatever adjustments I need to. Actually, they look really, really great. Just a little bit of a bend. I had to turn it sideways to get it wrapped. That looks great. And so now the stopper is not on there, but we can go ahead and do a test. So when the stopper's on, you'll have to put your drops from the back like that. But can you see how it's going to hang beautifully and flow? I mean, we need the stopper bead on there, but those ear wires are really done. I will like smooth out the ends with that tool. And then what I will use a combination of two different glues sometimes when I'm doing this. I like the E6000. I also like my Loctite gel control super glue. This one will dry a lot faster than the E6000, but the E6000 is nice and thick. So I'm going to just get a little bead of this going, like right on the end of the wire, or you can fill that little end bead. You do have a little bit of control with this. That's way more than we need. But there's not, well, E6000 actually does come now with a precision tip on the end. I just don't have it. And then I like to use my pliers so I keep my fingers out of the glue and just set that in place. It's a good idea when you're doing this to have like a little scrap of wire, or I have a bunch of little pieces of wire here. A little scrap of, I don't want to use that one because it's got a loop on the end. Here we go. Just you can keep a toothpick or a little scrap of wire And the nice thing about the E6000 is you do have a little time before it really starts to set up, so you can clean away any excess, and you can also make sure that you've set your little end bead straight on the wire. And as I said, I have done my own ear wires with 20 gauge wire. It makes a more delicate ear wire, and you could probably do that here as well, but I just thought the thicker wire would accommodate this little stopper bead a little bit better. And I'm just going to get in there and just make sure that it is straight. It's going to dry straight onto the wire. I have a little bit of excess glue, and I'm just going to leave that because this E6000 dries a little bit rubbery, and you can like pull that away after it's set up. So my first one is basically done and ready for drops, and I'm just going to repeat the same thing on this one. Okay, clean up my glue and my tools, and let's make the chain earrings. Okay, we will let that dry and make the chain earrings. So let's start with the easiest one first. This is the first one that I did, and I just used a little scrap of chain from my stash and these little fat, chunky little faux suede tassels. I just thought they were adorable, and this crystal fascinated me. It looks like the bottom of a perfume bottle. It's not fully a bicone. It's like a cone on the top and like a little flat, like a little perfume bottle or a genie bottle. And so what I did is just took a copper head pin, because I really loved not a head pin, an eye pin, sorry. And I just really loved the mix. I am dropping everything today. I just can't hold on to anything. But I'll show you. That'll give me a chance to show you. I just love the shape of this crystal, and the faceting is absolutely brilliant. And I just thought that the shape was so beautiful and unique, and I wanted to highlight that in my stack of beads. So I took one of these little funky little copper beads and just a gold disc spacer, that beautiful crystal, and then a bead cap from my stash, and then a gold, and there were bead caps in the box too, but I think I used them all up. So I went into my stash for a bead cap, and I've had these little gold filled, they're kind of weighted spacer beads in 2 sizes in my stash, and that little dot, it adds so much. It's amazing the difference when you take that away at the look that you get. And so what I did is I did a wire wrapped loop on the top here, and then I attached my chain to the bottom, and then used a little, I didn't even need a jump ring because the chain that I had, the links are not solid, so I can open them. Oh, I did use a jump ring. Okay. Let's see, I normally put everything together. I'm going to have to grab a jump ring out of my stash, but that's okay. I can do that. So before I do any of this, I am going to open this loop here and just add this chain, this little bit of chain right there. So then when I wire wrap, I'm not going to struggle to open that loop. Although on this design, as I said, this little scrap of chain that I had, the links, you are able to open them. They're not soldered. And I started to say when I dropped things, I love the mix of gold and copper and this beautiful champagne color crystal, like all the way up this design with this little autumnal golden yellow tassel at the end. I just thought it was so beautiful. So I'm going to do a wire wrapped loop here, and let me just look at my orientation. Of course it goes this way, and that's just going to secure this bead facing forward, the way it is in my first earring, and then my wire wrapped loop is going in the direction I need it to add on to an ear wire. So I'll get the eye pin at the top of my bead stack, give it a 90-degree bend, and then I use my round nose pliers and come down pretty close to the tip to make my loop. Bring that wire over the top barrel, rotate it so it's out of my way, and now it looks something like this, and then I can finish the wrap. I have a good grip here and just pull that around. My loop is now offset a little bit, but that's okay, I can fix that. And then when I take it away, I have a really pretty loop, and this space here is what will get filled with wire wraps, a coil. Get my other pliers to help me. Just wrap right down to my bead stack, and then before I stop wrapping, I'm just going to line everything up the way it is on my other earring, with these loops facing forward and this little bead facing forward, and see if I can get one more wrap in there. Okay, let me just get a little jump ring. I make my own jump rings out of 20 gauge gold wire, or I usually use 20 gauge wire. In this case, I am going to reach for a gold, and I have a bunch of sizes in here. Let me see what I did on this earring. And now this is just simple attaching, and this quickly, I have this really beautiful earring. And these are definitely not dry yet. E6000 glue has to sit up a little bit, but look at this. They just slide right on this ear wire, and look how stunning that is. I love the mix of gold and copper, and I love how unique these ear wires are. So fabulous. Continue to let those dry, but I can't help myself playing a little bit. And so now this one it's a little bit tricky, a little bit challenging. I had to figure out how many links of my chain would fit perfectly on the side of this bead. I absolutely love this textile bead that was in the box this month. I've used it in earring designs. It's so elegant, but a little bit unexpected to go from, you know, crystal to textile to metal chain. It's so cool. I'll go ahead and show you how I did this little briolette wrap first. I just used a piece of 26 gauge wire, took one of these little briolette crystals and ran my wire right through. Let me just look at this one. And then what I like to do is pull this up so that it's the same shape as the top of the briolette. And this is 26 gauge wire, so it's really easy to maneuver. So I'm just using my pliers to make sure that the point of the briolette fits right in there, like that. And then I am going to kind of ignore this shorter wire and get a hold of my piece of my wires at the top. Let's see, which direction did I go? It is amazing to me how quickly you forget what you did when you don't make both earrings at the same time. It just happens. Let me turn it this way and just get a bend in there. Just going to bend that wire straight, and I'm going to do this just like a regular wire wrapped loop, and I'm just ignoring this extra bit of wire here. And what's going to happen is it's going to get wrapped inside my loop. So it's just my favorite way to wrap a briolette. So I'm going to do that exact same thing that you saw me do on the other side. It's just that this is in the way now. And I can actually, once you know where your loop is, you can actually come in with your cutters and get rid of it so it's not in your way anymore. Now it's just a regular wire wrapped loop. So you can see I'm wrapping both of those wires as I go down to the bead. Straighten up that loop a little bit. And when you're down at the bead, just trim away, and it gives you a nice compact wire wrap on the top of a briolette. I just really love wrapping that way. So like I said, it's amazing how quickly you forget what you did when you make one pair of earrings and set it aside. So I just want to check if I need to turn my loop, and it looks like I am good to go. Okay, and then I'm just going to show you, let me show you these. These are so cool. These little head pins that have the splayed, put one down. I was actually looking at these because I thought about using these to make ear wires as well, but they just have that little splayed end. It's just flattened enough to be a bead stopper. So my stack here is starting with a crystal bicone from the box. Let me take all of these off. So I put that on first, and then I've already worked out, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The sixth length of chain is going to go on next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and let's see. Just double check before I get it all done that I have it correct. And I do. And then the next thing is the large crystal bead. And then I'm going to have to like finagle. This is probably the most challenging part, is getting everything to the top of the head pin and getting the head pin through the chain, because it's a snug fit. Oh, this one went on really easy just because I said it was challenging. Let's just double check. I'm going to make sure that I have mirrored my design here, and it looks perfect. And then the next thing was this little textile bead. And then I love the way this bicone crystal snuggles down inside, because the textile bead has kind of a large hole, and it's not, you know, it's fabric, so it's not solid like glass or metal. So when you start wrapping, it really tightens down really nicely. And I just love that. And then I'm going to do that same thing that I've been doing, that my standard wire wrapped loop. I like to hold everything in the direction that I want it to be before I wire wrap, just to make sure that that's the way it's going to get locked into place. You can still make adjustments, but I'm just going to repeat that same thing. Just grab my head pin right where it's coming out and do a normal wire wrapped loop. So the challenge on this one is that I needed the entire length of my head pin, and I really wanted to snuggle that crystal down inside the textile bead, and so I didn't cut anything away. I wrapped right down to the very end of that head pin, and I think I got it. It looks really good. And now I need to get another one of my little tiny jump rings that I made. I make these tiny, I don't know, I think they might be 3 millimeter. Honestly, I've never measured, but I make these little tiny jump rings for occasions like this. It's that, and I use this bail making plier to do it. It's a 6-step bail making plier, and I use this smallest mandrel when I need a tiny little jump ring for finer work. And you know, it's out of 20 gauge wire with an anti-tarnish coating, and they are a little challenging even to get your pliers on because they're really small, but it's so pretty. Look how lovely it looks when it's attached to the chain. I want to go this way. I'll show you as soon as I close it. You just have to hold on to them and kind of get your pliers out of the way. But they just add this beautiful little element to your design. You know, it's just a tiny little gold, and I love, again, the copper and gold and these yellow. This is just the most beautiful pair of earrings, and as I said, I was so enthused by the pieces in the box that I went into my stash and got these beautiful check glass beads that I love so much, and did another little design. So I really like this a lot. So this is like an autumnal pair, and so you know, here I can actually, whoops, wrong way, I can actually thread this right onto my interchangeable ear wires. I know this is probably a terrible camera angle for you to see an earring with a chain. That's why I kind of modeled these at the beginning, but I will put some pictures up at the end. And now we have these. These should be most of the way set up. Like, I wouldn't wear these until they've set up overnight, but you can see that the E6000 glue kind of turns a little bit rubbery. And now I'll go in and just kind of pull off any of that excess glue that's on the metal here. And if you want to, the reason I showed you the gel Loctite Control Super Glue is that if you want to, like when I use these bead stoppers on memory wire, I will often let my E6000 sit up and then come in right here and put a little tiny drop of that gel Control Super Glue just for extra security. But I think this is a fabulous idea. And I did that one. Let's put this one on. Look how beautiful that is. I just love that. And I did try these on, and they sit beautifully in your piercing. I absolutely love it. And you know, it's 18 gauge wire. So if you like silver, if you like copper, if you like antique bronze, you could do whatever, you know, metal you liked. I'm just going to use my battery operated little reamer with the cup end and just round that out just so that nothing sharp is going in my ear. Nice. And I'll do the same thing to this one. Okay. This little earring party is done and successful. I just love it. I think it is so fun to have interchangeable, whoops, that's the only thing. I have a little dyslexia, and I am constantly putting my earrings on backwards on interchangeable earrings, but this is so fun to have these interchangeable possibilities. I just love this. I have a tray in my jewelry wardrobe with all of my drops that I have made for seasons and different styles without ear wires, and I love to make my own ear wires. And I love to make my own findings, my own jump rings, as you saw, and even these interchangeable gold-filled lever back earrings. I really love those. For me, these are really easy in and out of my ears. I don't need a rubber back, an earring back, you know, a stopper a little earring back. And I just love that they stay in my ears. But I did have somebody in our community tell me she was having trouble with the lever back ear wires. So maybe this is an alternative if you're a person that doesn't care for this style. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. And don't forget to check the description box because I have a discount code for Jesse James Beads, and I put links to anything that I know where I got it. That is in the description box of all my videos. Thanks a lot, everybody. See you in the next video. Ciao, friends.